could start with sharing a little bit about who are you? What have you done?
Yeah, thanks for having me here, David. So I guess my background is I did 16 years in the regular army. I'm pretty straight leg as a general service officer in the infantry. It's pretty boring stuff. Pretty standard career profile. Spent some time in Afghanistan and then some time in Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, went over to Germany a few times, had a lot of opportunities. Also took the opportunity to educate myself while I was there. So I'm actually an alumni of the University of New South Wales. And then post transition out of the army, I transitioned when I became a father and looked for a bit more agency and working in established a boutique consultancy called Signo. So just working with good teams to work on good projects.
And so roughly how long was your career in service?
About 16 years in total, full-time service, yeah. And about 2 years or a year and a half now since I've departed, 2 years, something like that.
So in the UNSW Defence 10x Accelerator, a lot of what we do is try and connect startup founders with people like yourself that have that experience with, but also importantly, the trust and credibility, with the system. We'll come back to that in a moment, but you volunteered quite a lot of your time to be our kind of expert mentor in the program in the Defence 10x we ran in 2023. Why did you volunteer that time, both personally, why is this important to you, and just broader, why is this an important project?
Yeah, so I still volunteer my time. I've got a lot of friends still in defence. I have an interest in defence. I might go back at some point in the near future. I just thought it was important. I've still got friends out there doing things and I understand the environment and what's going on in the mix. So volunteering my time was about helping focus those teams, understand the lived experience of what is required, the tactical and operational edge of the space and the games that are played outside of the services and how it all kind of connects together. So I enjoyed working with those teams. And I think for me too, it was actually almost quite cathartic that I'd been in this one environment of like a bit more rigid and structured lifestyle to hanging out with a bunch of, mid-20-somethings with mechatronic engineers running around in T-shirts and jeans, like throwing out crazy ideas. So for me, it was just great to work with these people as I moved out, and then also some of the other introductions I got around from it, so I won't lie, like a networking point of view. But ultimately, it's about, we need to maintain a competitive advantage. We're a small force. How do we bring in technologies that maintain that competitive advantage? But then also, how do we do it sovereignly? So instead of relying on, the Americans or the Brits or the French or the Germans, and although we should participate in some of those projects, like how do we build a sovereign capability?
Yeah, alliances are important, and we need capability on our own shores, which is, from our perspective at UNSW, we support a lot of startup founders and we'll support them regardless of what type of company they're building. But specifically, we're running the Defence 10x Accelerator to specifically help people that are trying to build in that space. And that's because I think trying to build a new company from Australia where your primary or one of your customers is the defence industry is probably the hardest company you could start in Australia.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about why that is, but that's the sort of the design behind Defence 10x Accelerator is how do we wrap as much support as possible around those people that you described that have the energy, the vision to build a new product, to build a sovereign capability in Australia, so they don't sort of starve to death in the desert. Because again, that sovereign capability is a important policy objective of the federal government. From UNSW's perspective, the economic prosperity that comes from having Australian headquartered companies, pays lots of dividend for society. So there's a broad positive impact agenda there. Coming more specifically to the Defence 10x Accelerator process, exactly as you described it, we're trying to find those people, be they young or old, that have the energy, the vision to create and ultimately sell a new product or a new innovation to the defence sector. That could be a defence-only product, that could be a kind of dual-use product where they're successfully selling to a non-defence customer. One of the most important things that we help people with in Defence 10x is help them understand, as you kind of put it, the game, the game that you have to play to successfully get attention from the right people, build a relationship, credibility and ultimately trust with those people to then go through the process of being able to demonstrate your capability and ultimately sell a product. So some of the people that are going to be listening or watching to this are thinking, should I apply for Defense 10x? How would you describe the type of founder who should think about applying to this program?
Well, I have the first comment is just don't die wondering. So, it was like in my history, I went and did Special Forces selection. I'm actually in that. You can see me smiling in the background like an idiot on the Search for Warriors. But like I finished it, I didn't get picked up, right? But I'm not going to die wondering. Like I know, it's like I know I can get through that. But there was a few things that I didn't get picked up on. But at least I know. So if you don't know, just do it. And you never know what's going to happen. And you might get something. You might get to the boot camp phase and get something out of that, or you get some friendly advice, or you'll meet someone. You'll meet another founder, and then you two might go off and work together. I don't know. So first bit is if you're thinking about it and you're like on the fence, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You get told how to fix it. Come back next year, or you're given some great feedback that'll put you in a position where potentially you don't need to come back next year, or you'll meet some great people in general who are in a similar boat to you. I think what you want is you want people with great ideas, but have at least gone past a design on the back of we'd say in the army, like a cigarette packet. Like it's progressed beyond that. It's just not on the back of a beer coaster. So it's actually had some demonstrated, like in a lab environment, we can get it to do X. You need energy. So a really interesting, I have a cousin of mine, I speak to him a lot. He's living in Cape Town at the moment, but he works with companies that are in distress and then tries to mediate and fix those companies. So he does effectively large M&A type transactions. And he's like, in this environment, and we're just he was over visiting for a thing, having a coffee. He's like, what these founders, what you can bring that a lot of people can't is the ability to build momentum and bring energy to whatever it is you're doing. So he's like, there is a lot of people out there with a lot of money. What they don't have and what they're looking for is someone who can build energy around whatever it is that they're designing and build momentum behind it. And that's really resonated with me, particularly as I look at some of the things I'm doing. It's like, all right, so you got to be passionate about whatever it is you're doing, but it's also got to be a real thing that's not just some concept in the back of your head if you're going to apply. If it's still a concept in the back of your head, maybe next year you just need to mature it a bit.
Yeah, so apply, but be able to pitch. So again, from our perspective as the UNSW Founders Program, we love people applying early, come to us, have a chat, tell us what your ambition is, tell us what your roadmap is, and then maybe, if you're too early and if you get that feedback, come back next year and if you've actually done some of the things you said you were going to do. Like the startup space is full of people who say a lot.
Yeah.
That's great. We need to start with a big ambitious plan. But we actually need people to do stuff as well.
Yeah.
And so being able to demonstrate, here's what I think is, and of course the plan will change, but just as you put it, take an insane amount of energy, have a huge ambition, and then just make progress, to put momentum behind your vision.
Yeah, and that gets everyone else around you excited about what you're doing. If you just turn up and you're like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, sorry, I've got a young kid, so I watch a lot of cartoons now. No one wants to be around that person, and it's really hard to like, help me help you, you know what I mean? Like don't just leave me in a position where I've got to feed you along the way. But the other thing is apply, get your feedback, and then you go, all right, my goal now for the next 12 months or whatever, 10 months, I think it must probably be by the time it's all done, 8 months, I've got to do this. So now the hardest thing is doing stuff with I find personally, with no attainable goal. So even if you apply and you're TRL2, come and speak to the team, you got a lot of energy, the right person, you just need to tweak some things. It's like, right, so over the next 8 months, these are the things that I need to achieve. So then when I come back in the next round, February next year, put my application in, I'll be in a better position. But it goes back to don't sit there wondering. So at least it's some free advice and some friendly help. And maybe even, hey, go speak to this person, or this is a way you can do this. And it's going to help put you into that pathway and help you plan and map where you need to be. It's like, sitting in my office chewing gum trying to figure out what I'm doing for the day is a hard thing. When I know it's like, right, I've got a deliverable that's due tomorrow or this time, I can plan out how I'm going to work towards that deliverable. But yeah, I think energy, a pathway and a concept of what you're trying to develop. What does life look like beyond 10x for you as well? So you go through D10x. What are your next steps that you think you're going to take? So how will D10x, how is that the the keystone that'll help you achieve these other goals. So what's the end state you're working towards? And then what are the ways you're going to get there, and why is D10X what you need to do to achieve that goal? So it's like, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and this will help set you up. And then while you be in the program, no one's saying you got to be here every day, but when you are here, be present, be engaging with the other teams that are around the place. Someone gets up from somewhere and is like, please ring me or have a coffee with me, like take those people up on those opportunities. Like be willing to take time out of your day, because that person might be in the standard startup VC jeans and a t-shirt. Turns out they own like a $250 million company. They might know what they're talking about, So someone's offering you some free advice.
Listen to it.
Listen to it.
You've got to make up your own mind of what you do, but get this broad perspective.
So the type of people who I think you want in the program are open to both constructive criticism and mentoring, not set in their way. So they've got a growth mindset. So they're willing to take positive feedback and go, all right, I've got to listen to this. They've got a lot of energy and a lot of focus on what they're doing. Because I go back to that conversation I had. He's like, I've dealt in billion-dollar transactions, and it's like, the person who's got the energy in the room and the drive is the person that all of a sudden the bankers are listening to, because they can't purchase that. They can purchase the product, but that enthusiasm.
Yeah, what we'd call that founder energy.
Yeah, he's like,
rare.
I can't, like you've got it, and now I'm really interested in that because you seem to be happy about everything that's going on, and like this deal's falling apart, but you're trying to make it, and it happens, right? And then, a really interesting concept. And I think the thing about innovation that people get confused about, as you're aware, I do some work with a schools program. It doesn't have to be a brand new idea. It might be something that exists, but doing it better. So it's like, what's the improvement on this? And everyone's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, we've had cars for, over 100 years, but every year Mercedes releases a new thing on their car that makes it better. So what is it that you're doing that's innovative? So it doesn't necessarily have to be something brand new, but it's just something that exists that needs improvement, but you're the only person to think about that improvement. So do a bit of market research before you come in as well, and understand what the competition and the environment looks like as you move forward. So those are the type of people we're looking for.
One of the things that we observed in the Defence 10X last year in 2023 was we had a really interesting difference in where people were coming from. We had a couple of people that quit jobs to start a company to do the accelerator. We had some others that had already been successfully operating as a company for a couple of years in a non-defense segment that used the program as a way to open up and successfully sell into defense as a category. Any observations you've got about what that's like working with, like having that diverse group together, or just what comes from having that environment where you do have some people that are just starting out with sort of a defense-only product, others that have that more dual use approach. They're all building trust, building relationships, sharing knowledge amongst themselves. Anything that comes to mind from what you've observed in that?
I think the level of energy adjusts slightly from each team based on their experience. And then some of the engagements I have during the program, it's like, oh, I know how to start a business and set up a spreadsheet. It's like, okay, cool. Other people, it's new information. I find, particularly if you're coming from a company that's established and you're pivoting into defense, so you're taking technology in defense, you're actually a bit more of a shrewd business person about everything that goes on. And because you've lived through all the hard lessons and you've been swindled. There's one of the teams now, I know that are like, all of a sudden we've had some success and everyone's coming to my front door. Like, how do I figure out? But it's also they've had some success in the other part with their technology. So it's like, how do we get through the noise to get what we want to do? So they've become very shrewd and direct business people. Hey, I quit my job and I'm going all in. It's like, I give you a big thumbs up because I was, in my 20s, I joined the army. So I was like, I wasn't quite ready to go out on that adventure. But you're excited, but you also realize that, the bread line could be coming if you don't perform. So they're all in with everything that's going on. So the difference, though, it will take, say, those parties are the person who's quit their job to go build this thing and get it done. They are into everything that's going on. The person who's had experience in defense industry or is pivoting their technology, they don't necessarily do everything. They've got a different approach to it. I wouldn't say it's like today's, but they're a bit more planned in how they engage in things because they've already kind of been playing the game. And, one of the teams, I was laughing. I sent them an email and said, it's really great to see your overnight success after 10 years of hard work. But their view on it is a bit different. But they also understand, who do you engage with in IP protection, and there's all these other things I've had to do along the way that they haven't quite realised. So sometimes those people with a lot of energy, it's like, all right, stop, take a breath. Have you spoken to the lawyers about this? Or have you at least gained some legal advice? Or have you at least registered your IP? Or have you, oh no, I didn't think about that. Well, that's what you're getting in 10x, is someone sometimes just tell you you've got all this energy, but you need to sometimes take a tactical pause and a breath. You've got this person who's learned all these lessons, and it's like you need to come along a bit more as well on the ride and just engage in some of those other things. So it's very interesting to watch those different cohorts about how they go about their business inside the accelerator, and then also their engagement with the other teams.
Fantastic.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think for some people who are listening to this, they might have never done an accelerator, and this is not a university degree. We're not teaching you a whole bunch of things you might need to know about your business. A lot of it is wrapping experts and goodwill and new relationships around people with that question of, okay, what are the next couple of things you actually need to get done? I think a lot of people might be hesitant to join an accelerator program because they think, oh, I'm just going to get a bunch of theory. Our objective in Defense 10x is, what do you need to know right now so you can put it into practice right now, rather than, oh, you might need this in the future. There's none of that. It's just, what are you trying to get done? What are your goals? What are your objectives? Okay, great. Let's introduce you to some people.
Yeah, and it's also like you're really excited to go do this, but have you taken these administrative steps to protect yourself? Like, let's be honest, you're starting a company and you want to be commercially successful, so it's a weird conversation about income for the company, for a commercial entity. So one, money is treated like the blood supply that keeps the entity alive, but like any entity, it wants to grow, right? So you need more money to do that, and we all want money at the end. That's what the whole commercial environment's about. So we don't need to dance around, but it's like there are things that you need to do now at the front end that will save you in the back end when you're entering into some of those larger conversations. So, so you got your check. It's going to cost you $60,000 to go get your IP registered and sit down with the lawyers and do your patents and all the rest of it. I'm sorry, but trust me, it's worth it. For 5 years' time, you're going to be like, thankfully I did that. I've got a client outside of this. There's an argument about IP lockup, and funnily enough, they registered their IP 12 years ago, so that's now been removed from the table, which changes the dynamic in the negotiation, right? So it's understanding, I think that's the thing I think 10x really gives you. It's not a university degree. It's like you can take or leave the information, do whatever you want. You can take your check and disappear, but it's all that other, equal value and applied value that you're going to get out of it, and being able to sit down with key people, register this with the lawyers, go sit with this mentor, have a coffee with this person. I've got this business problem. I'm in this scale and growth. I need someone to help me with strategy, but I can't afford someone. Is there something? And I think I sat in one of the Q&As when you're talking about using mentors, and it's like, hey, I've been in a startup, and you know what, it was worth my time getting a strategy consultant who's worked in that environment and paying them the $1,000 a day. Yeah, it hurt us. It was a $10,000 contract, and then we also had to get a tender writer for $10,000. So we've invested it's an investment of $20,000. The result was we got this thing done, and now that's like a X million dollar contract.
Yeah.
So it sounds scary, and there will be a lot of but having that advice about maybe just how you set yourself up for success, and you don't need to go it alone, and it can be very lonely. As a startup in any business, I remember when I first started my consultancy and I left my army, my wife's like, how's it all going? I'm like, yeah, it's going really well. And I'm sitting there at night looking into a glass of scotch going, have I made the right decision? Maybe
it's a lonely road.
Maybe I should have just taken that job at the large defence prime that my mate offered me. But on the flip side, the benefit of being your own boss is there's a lot of late nights, but I also have a lot of agency and I get a lot of time. I take time off when I want to, and I know the benefit and the cost of doing that. So that's a good thing about being a founder, right? Like I get to do daycare drop-offs. I'm not at the army or at the defence hub in Newcastle doing whatever job it is. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's been some lonely nights where I'm sitting there doing a proposal at midnight because everyone's gone to bed, and I'm like, I really need to get this in. So it's not all tea and medals. Like there are some, but having someone that you can talk to about where you're at, you're not then just
there to help you. It's like, we're going to wrap smart sounding boards around you. We're not trying to get paid. We're not trying to sell you anything.
Yeah.
It just we'll give you the attention when no one else will.
And when you're having that lonely moment, you're not just shouldering the burden by yourself, sitting there going. And I look back to some of the mistakes I made when I left and started doing my own thing. There were some nights whereas if I could have just rung someone to maybe say, doing this?
What do you think about this? Yeah.
What do you think about doing this? There was a tender I was writing for, and a friend turned around and he's like, mate, that is like for a one-man band, you're not going to get it because what they're really asking for is a large, I think it was to do some infrastructure work for one of the state governments. I'm like, I can do all the project management on that. I'll find a designer and an architect and I'll just do it. And he's like, what they're really looking for is a large construction firm that they can go to and just give them a contract. So he's like, save your time. What you want to go do is you want to go visit your Oricons and your GWHs.
Yeah, maybe partner with them.
Or offer your wares or at least go have a coffee with one of the COOs and say, here's my CV if you need someone. It's like, oh, okay. Like, but having that person who could wrap their arms around me and go, maybe it's just too early in your company's.
Yeah, maybe in the future, but
right now.
Yeah, there's a stepping stone to that.
The stepping stone. And then what it is, if you do good work, you get known and they come back but that was me reaching out to someone when I was sitting there one night looking into that glass of scotch, having something like an accelerator who also, I've been really impressed with the way you've checked in with the company's post-accelerator and they ask those questions and that wrapping around's kind of happened. It's like, all right, well, I'm not going to give you the secret sauce to do the work, but have you considered speaking to this person or have you done this? Oh, no. All right. Well, and that's what I think part of that accelerator gets you. And I go back to that equal value. It's, the check's nice, but it's all the other bits,
Yeah. Even though the program's kind of 10 weeks, we're here forever to help you if you want to pick up the phone. Well, as long as it's sensible, if you're trying to get something done, if we can help, we're always here. Yeah. Just before we close off, someone's thinking about applying, any last advice so they can kind of make their application stand out from the crowd?
Okay, so the first thing I do is define the problem you're trying to solve with whatever your technology is. And don't just use words like, hey, we're using technology to solve the problem, like a wheels technology. There's a company I know is going to apply. The guy's a defense veteran, so happy to give him some free advice. And it was like, hey, we use technology to solve this problem. Like, what technology? Like, you got to
be specific.
You got to be a little bit more specific. And actually, like, unfortunately, you're going to have to, lift the skirt a little bit and let me know what it is what technologies are you using?
Yeah, that it works, not how it works.
Yeah.
I'm super happy with like fuzzy videos. Show me. I don't need to know how it works, but if it's not just an idea. So absolutely, it's important that they kind of keep the how secret, but be specific with what you can be and show me as well.
I have I'm going to define the problem that you're building a solution for. In your solution, you got to tell us as much as possible without giving away the secret sauce. But it's like, I'm going to use robotics to project, or I'm going to build a big airship that sits in the stratosphere so I can communicate across the Southwest Pacific, whatever it is. But you got to at least put something in there to stand out because I'm sure, there'll be, I think I helped go through 100 of them last year for it. And some of them are like really good. And some of them are like, hey, we use technology to make things better. So, okay.
Pass.
I just don't, because I don't know what the problem is you're trying to solve. And I don't know what technology you're talking about. You're just using flash words like you use ChatGPT to talk about, technology. So solution, how you think you're going to solve that problem, and then sell the team as well and why this team, who are the 4, 5, 6, 2, 1, who are the people that are going to come in and work through this program. And then during the kind of boot camp and the mixes, as bad as it sounds, that's where people are getting a taste for who you are as a person and the energy you're bringing to it. So if you're living in Goondiwindi, it's not great, but you're going to have to at least turn up face to face at some point, and I know that's expensive. So if you are going to travel from outside of Sydney, just plan it out, think about when and where and which things. So to get your application up, define the problem that you're actually trying to find the solution for. Talk a bit more about your products. Don't give away the secret sauce, but a bit more than like, I use technology to solve this problem. So, okay, thank you. And then actually go into who your team is a little bit, even in the application. If it's a 5-person team that's coming on board, have a little bio, like half-page bio on everyone and a photo just at the back of it. So it's like, oh, So this person's like the technical lead because they're the mechatronic engineer, and this person's got the MBA, and like I understand how this team is going to like form and who's doing what, and that's some really interesting experience. Because then you can also go, all right, well, we now have a taste of who the team is, and we know what to kind of expect when they walk through the door. It also, it gives, particularly yourself, an insight into how much experience they may or may not have in startups. And if this is their 30th startup and they've done 20 exits, you're going to be like, mate, like you've got enough capital to do this on your own. Like, great idea. Or it might be, hey, I see you've done 30 startups and 20 exits, like, and I see you're working in this ecosystem, but you want to come over here. Like, that sounds great. I really think you can bring something to the program as well. So
absolutely,
those would be the big three things I'd put into my application when moving forward. Because it was like, yeah, some of those applications, like, we're a team of experts. Okay.
Yeah. In what?
In what?
Yeah.
Like, who are you?
Great tips.
That's it.
Cool. Thank you, Jake.
No problem at all. I hope that hit the mark for you. And thanks a lot.
I'll see you in Defence to Next 2024.
Yeah, I'll see you around.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.